interesting. I met this German guy who is only 19 years old, and my bank bet he's above me. So we introduced with each other, and I was quite impressed because of the way he presented himself, very organized, and he started his trip, I think, about last August, so almost 1 year he's been traveling, just graduating from high school. And I thought he was already past college, so I was impressed because of his presence. Anyway, for whatever reason, before I go to sleep, I talked to him briefly and shared a couple things. First, about the Japanese tendency, which is compared to his, very articulated way of explaining things and seem to have a confidence. Japanese tend to have more inward orientation and more kind of timid even, and they are not good at debate. So it's kind of obvious. So the discussion started by saying that Japanese may be quite different, especially compared to the West. And I was pointing that that symptom, Japanese, may be related to their group orientation to take care of themselves, among themselves. So this defined by the first clause of the Constitution by Shotoku, which says, have a harmony as the core of a living, or something like that. So the harmony is important, so the pressuring themselves not to be egocentric was the sense. So I mentioned that, character difference of those two. And along with that discussion was the discussion about my work. I don't know how we get to that state. And I was sleepy, but he asked me, what kind of things I've done. So I said I wrote books, this and that. He asked, and then I answered that one of the books has even Dalai Lama's forward. So he got more interested, and he asked me to explain, and I had not much time left, and I said, well, maybe tomorrow, but he kind of insisted, okay, 5 minutes, I do it. So I explained the concept of what I explained in the book, and the previous book, The New Shop for Management, about the idea of the mini company, and how it ended to bring out Dalai Lama to make a comment. Because there's a connection to the Kegon, basic principle of Mahayana Buddhism, and that's the reason why I asked Dalai Lama, and happily to receive his forward, which is the book distributed, sold from 2002. But compared to the other two books, this didn't sell as much, and I was kind of depressed. And the reason why I'm doing this YouTube is to kind of supplement, because I tried to write the book 2-3 times, but I couldn't. It's very difficult, and because people don't read books, I decided to use the YouTube to communicate the key point. So talking about that in 5 minutes, not easy, but I could explain to him about the reason of this mini company idea, company within the company, and how mini company relate to each other, so that they can behave like self-managing. Each company has a mission, customer-supply relationship, KPI, key performance indicators, and go through PDCA, starting with checks, or CAPD, even writing annual report. So that's one, and then I explained the same is the same with me, within me as an individual, that I have the me and mini me, and even to the cell level, above that is, that's a different organs helping each other, and they are all decentralized in a way that they operate on their own and relate to each other. So that's the Kegon idea of interpenetration, if you get into it, so that the brain is not running like top down, but empowering people in mini company, or in this case, empowering cells within ourselves, like a subconscious part of who we are, even to the cell level. And when it happens, that's the awakening. And I practiced that, is what I said. I'm doing it 2 minutes instead of 7 minutes, but he understood it. So I said, okay, that's the concept, but the concept is not what happens, and you have to practice it. And I explained why I do this, YouTube and a few other things. So he understood it. I knew he understood what I said, and I was impressed. The point is really practicing it. Just like the case of the mini company, I worked with maybe, 100 companies. I visited many and guided and consulted and turned many of them around, and even worked in the private equity, related to that. But that's the connection that I realized that has to be applied in my living. So all the 3 books I've written, I'm living and still working on it. It's a continuous improvement, like Kaizen, or even connected to heart so that awakening happens. So how much he understood and how much he would practice is the question, but he said his mother is interested to know more about the Dalai Lama, so he was checking my book and getting those information. So we'll see how it goes, but this is kind of fun of living in the small backpackers inn. I'm downstairs of the bed. I should show you the picture that something above me is hanging on so that I can grab them, because there's no room to put things together. So I found a way to have an improvement. So that's how congested this place is. But congestion and the difficulty is pain, no gain. So I'm thinking about those. That's why I'm here too. Just to tell you that 15 years ago I stayed here, I had my own room, and that was when I was surfing. Now, 15 years later, I'm with a bunch of people and still going through that. It's not easy, but it's possible. And there's a good reason of me doing it, including this one. I may want to talk more about it. Anyway, this is just capturing some of the interesting event happened yesterday. And the reason for me to say this is to reinforce the process of CAPD, check, act, plan, do. Even with a new environment when things are not as simple and easy. But why not take a positive stance and keep working? Eventually I'm going to die, and eventually this navigation will be ended. But until then, I try to make the most of what I've got with the best process I can, and go through CAPD, Shira Samadhi Panya, calm and quiet mind, and live my best while hopefully contributing to other people and having fun. There's mosquitoes here, and I'm getting bitten, and I cannot do this because people are sleeping in the room. That's why I'm here, the surface lounge, with the roosters saying good morning. Have a good day.